Well, tonight we have an inside look at the heroin epidemic that's creating problems across Colorado. Officers and federal agents confirm the drug's not only killing people, but users are behind a lot of other crimes. And some wonder if the focus on marijuana allowed heroin to sneak up on Colorado communities. As you'll see in this Target 13 exclusive, the drug's comeback is clear, but solving the problem is not. Over the past few weeks, we've seen dozens of illegal marijuana grows busted, and there was no violence.
Is that a 45?
Looks like it.
Meanwhile, agents and officers with the FBI's Safe Streets Task Force
This is one that got shot in a drive-by?
have their hands full.
Oh yeah, there's a spoon.
Heroin is back and easy to find.
I think every community in the state has this problem right now.
These are the most violent times I've seen in Pueblo in the 14 years I've been here. If you talk to a lot of the old-time Pueblo police officers that have been on for 30 years, and they say they've never seen it this bad.
FBI Special Agent James Moore works closely with Gang Task Force detectives Chad Jeffries and Jeremy Matthews.
The amount of heroin we're seeing on the streets has quadrupled over the last couple of years.
He says demand picked up after the government cracked down on prescription opiates like oxycodone.
Once that happened and it was harder to get prescription medication, heroin is the backup.
This house was the scene of a recent shooting, and officers say heroin is a big problem here. As a matter of fact, you don't have to look very hard to find evidence of heroin use. There are needles right at the bottom of the garbage can.
It's increasing the amount of vehicle burglaries, home burglaries, thefts, just because they need that fix on a daily basis.
In El Paso and Pueblo counties, heroin's killed dozens in the past few years. The coroner reports 94 heroin deaths in El Paso County, almost as many as alcohol. Marijuana, 0 deaths. Pueblo's coroner reports 36 heroin deaths, 18 for alcohol, and none for marijuana.
You don't hear that mentioned in work groups or in city council meetings, but we're spending a lot of time on cannabis.
Jason Wharf is executive director of the Southern Colorado Cannabis Council and says local lawmakers should focus more attention on the heroin problem instead of going after marijuana.
The voters, when we voted for 64 in El Paso County and across the state, did so to really kind of decriminalize cannabis. We didn't want any more criminal penalties.
The only reason Amendment 64 passed is because the pro-marijuana folks that crafted that language put in the clause that municipalities could opt out.
Colorado Springs City Councilman Don Knight led the recent push to ban cannabis clubs in the city and says since heroin's already illegal, they're spending a lot of time closing local marijuana law loopholes.
We're not having these gray areas with heroin that we are with marijuana. And that's why our focus is on there.
Back on the streets,
we got a shell casing here, a box of shotgun shells that's empty over there.
Agents and officers tackling the growing heroin problem say law enforcement can't fix it alone.
We need to come together as a community, as a police department, and help these folks get up because they're down, and this is a disease.
Now, some people we talk to say our state needs to invest in more services to help those with addiction. Others say we need to invest in more officers catching the dealers. Clearly, there's probably some truth in both. If you know someone struggling with addiction, they can call our state's crisis hotline. That number is 1-844-493-8255. We also have that information for you at krdo.com. And by the way, that house where I was with the FBI Safe Streets Task Force is where police made 2 arrests last night. We brought it to you as breaking news last night right here on KRDO News Channel 13 at 10 from La Crosse Street. That's on the city's east side. Officers say they recovered stolen items, including a car, jewelry, and guns. 23-year-old Federico Valles, I should say, and 19-year-old Alfonso Ortega are both facing several charges and are now in the county jail.